Good morning, this is Rachel from 4x Felines. Thank you for joining me as I go through this tutorial for these easy little scrappy notebooks. Been on a bit of a scrappy notebook kick. I recently made this one for my Florence journal inspired by a Pam at the Paper Outpost tutorial, and it was just such a useful way of using up scraps. I decided to have a go, come up with my own formula and share it just to see if anyone else would be interested. I have a number of easy tutorials between the 5 and 15-minute mark. Quite often they deal with using up paper scraps, and these are great for beginners or more experienced crafters looking for new ideas. For this tutorial you will need images from your scraps box. These are the focal point of the notebooks that need to go at the top. A patterned piece of scrap paper, craft paper or card. This goes behind the main piece and needs to have colours, ideally, unless you love to throw all colours together, but ideally it needs to pick up colours that are on your image piece. And then you need 2 pieces of paper that are suitable for writing, and I've put here different colours and finishes. And what I mean by finishes is, I don't know if the camera can pick this up, but that's graph paper, that's dotted paper, that's more graph paper as well. So just so you get that little bit of contrast. It's finished with these are again from my scraps, but more like my Fabric Crafty scraps. So you can use cord, ribbon, lace, embroidery thread, wool. You need a ruler for tearing. Where did I put my spare ruler? There. You can use scissors if you want. And you will need scissors to cut the cords and stuff at the end. Optional ones are distress inks, hole reinforcers, and I've just realised one of the things I didn't mention but have on my list for what you will need, some kind of hole punching tool. I think I got this for like 99p. It's wonderful, but if you just have a hole punch, that'll be fantastic too. Okay, so let's get started. And just so that you know what it looks like in a book, and it also, if you're worried if like that bit will add too much bulk, this is one I've already stuck into a book. I stuck it down fully with the bottom sheet, and the cord just sticks out at the top, which I think adds a nice little piece there. So that's what that one looks like, with the scrappy image on the top, the craft card at the back, and the 2 writing spaces. And one thing I've done here is with a little fussy cut, I've stuck it down on one page and on there, so if you're worried about the pages slooshing out, you could always do something like that to hold them in place. Okay, so, and when I say images, you can literally use any images you like. So a lot of these images that I'm going to be working with today, they're quite fragmentary, but I think they're beautiful and I love the colours, and it's just lovely to have something to do with them. And there are lots of tutorials for scrappy notebooks, so if you look at this and think, it's not quite my cup of tea, I strongly urge you to have another search on YouTube for other tutorials, because there's so many ideas for these things. So like I said, you need a ruler for tearing, and I'm just eyeing it. I'm not doing anything particular. Now I like it so that each successive page after the first one gets bigger, but if you don't like that, you don't have to do that. Or I think Pam did a lovely staggered notebook one where you could almost have like different fragments going across. That would be fantastic too. So I just need to, and if you need to measure, you can, but I don't feel the need to measure. However, if you were cutting them, you could then use a corner punch. So if you like a neat corner punched finish, that would be an option. So again, here's some more scrap that I have left over, and this is one of my nature dyed pieces of paper. So what's a nice dark one? Yeah, I'll go with that one. If you've got crimping shears or something like that, pinking shears, sorry, you could use them instead. I think that goes a bit too low. So, and you've always got a finger tool for tearing, you know, if you're not that keen on using a ruler, or if you can't find a ruler, because we have all these things in our craft rooms, and then sometimes when we actually need the things, can we find them? No, I'm actually going to tear a bit down there too. But I like a straight edge for the top. Again, if you don't, entirely up to you what you do. So corner punching tool, eyeballing roughly where that needs to go. And I don't mind if it clips through the images I'm using, because for me that's part of the scrappiness. However, if you do, then I'd recommend you pick a top image which has space at the top for the hole punch to go. And punch that one too. And again, I'm not measuring because it doesn't bother me if they're not fully central. Now here are some, I don't know exactly what they're called. I call them hole reinforcers. And what I did with these, this is from my made up stash anyway. I got a text stamp with ink and then just stamped it on them. So they just have a little bit more interest, but you don't have to. You can also just use distress ink to make them darker. So you could use vintage photo or something like that to make them darker if you wanted a more vintage look. I don't mind the bright white. So I've gone through my scraps for some of these bits of fabric, not fabric, I don't mean fabric, I mean cord. I think this came gift wrapped with something. So what I'm just going to do is do that, and I'm just going to do a knot at the top. Very easy little knot there. And then just push it down as I'm pulling it. I'm going to have the finished tails at different lengths. This is not obviously great scissors for paper, not so much for fabric and that kind of thing. So that is that done. Now I did say you could use distress inks. So what you could do, if you're worried that perhaps a paler sheet won't pop as much, you can take a distress ink. I'll just grab Shabby Shutters. Ooh. And to save you time, if you've got a load of distress inks or working out what best suits, I recommend you put together a little crib sheet like this. This is the box I keep mine in, and I've just made a little crib sheet there. So it's very easy for me to work out what I want to do. And I've decided to go with Bundled Sage for that one. It's only if you've got quite a few. I got loads of the little mini ones when I was first starting, because I wasn't sure what colours I was going to use. So I find that crib sheet very, very useful. And as you can see, it's a very, very haphazard way of doing that. And it just gives it a little extra thing to pop. And you might want to do something in a darker colour around here, but it's entirely up to you. So you can do contrasting, you can do complementing. And I've got some, and this definitely came from some kind of gift. This is gold thread. I think I got this gold cord. I think I got this at Christmas. And I just thought that colour would go. And again, I just tie a little knot at the top. And there you go. So lovely quick little tutorial there for making little scrappy notebooks. Oh, and they're actually quite a bit different in sizes. I hadn't realised that. But so these are the ones that I've already made. And they're just really, really nice. If you've got, where would you use these in your journal? So here's my example. I had, I think that was a calligraphy. Yeah, calligraphy page. Not a lot of writing space, and I love writing in my journals. So just by that simple expedient, I've got a little scrappy notebook that gives it some interest at the top of the journal. And I've now got some writing space, but I've kept some of these beautiful calligraphy shapes on it as well, because I don't want to entirely cover up that page. So, thank you very much for, just dropped something. Thank you very much for joining me for this tutorial. Hope you found it useful, that it inspires you to make something. If you'd like to tag me in your makes, I'm on Instagram, details below. We all have such completely different scraps, and it's fascinating to see what we can all make, because no two junk journalers' scrap boxes will be the same. It's like a treasure trove, and you never know what images people have and what they're going to use. So I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thank you for watching. Bye.